discuss more examples and practice exercises on getting the derivative. So let's find the derivative with respect to x of the following functions. Say y equals 14, y equals 15x, y equals 4x plus 2019, y equals x squared minus 5, y is equal to 4x cubed plus 2x minus 5, y equals 8x to the fifth minus 10x squared plus 9, and y equals 2x to the fourth minus 8x cubed plus 5x minus 1. You may pause this video if you want to practice on this and answer this first on your own. Okay, so if we try to answer this, let's have number 1. Let's check your answers. Okay, for number 1, what is the derivative of y equals 14? If you answered 0, then you are correct. Why 0? Because 14 is a constant. So, derivative ng constant, sabi natin is 0. Now, for number 2, y equals 15x. For this kind of function, what we do is just pick up the coefficient of x for its derivative. So, the derivative will just be equal to 15. Okay? Actually, we can make use of the formula on the right, this basic formula on the right. Okay? But then we remember x to the 1 minus 1, the understood exponent of this is 0. Okay? 1 minus 1 will be 0. Kaya parang nawawala na yung x to the 0 niya, which is actually 1. Okay? And then for number 3, y equals 4x plus 2019. So for the first term, we just pick up the coefficient, that will be the derivative, and then the derivative of this one will be 0, okay? So derivative of this will just be 4, okay? For number 4, we have y equals x squared minus 5. Again, if we make use of this formula, we just have to multiply and subtract 1 from the exponent. So multiply, subtract lang, no? So bring down this one, and then subtract 1 from the exponent. We need not worry about this 5 here kasi the derivative of this constant will be 0. So that means ito lang yung kailangan nating i-differentiate. So y prime will be 2x. Okay? Now for number 5, we have 4x cubed plus 2x minus 5. Yan. So we can differentiate this one by one. Okay? This will become 4 times 3 will give us 12. And then 3 minus 1 is 2. Okay, so y prime equals 12x squared. For the second part, second term, derivative of this will just be, pick up the coefficient. So that will just be positive 2. Again, we need not worry about this last term because the derivative of this constant is 0. Okay. For number 6, we're given with this one. So for the first term, again, we have to multiply 8 by the exponent. So, following this, you multiply, subtract lang, di ba? So, 8 times 5 is 40. Okay? And then, the new exponent will be 5 minus 1, which is 4. So, that gives us y prime equals 40x to the fourth. Then, for the second term, 10 times 2 is 20. So, that will be 20x. 2 minus 1 is 1. That's why the understood exponent of this is 1. And then again, we need not worry about the derivative of 9 because this is a constant, derivative of which is 0. Okay? Now for number 7, we have 2 times 4. Okay? Multiplying this coefficient by the exponent, what we have is y prime equals 8x cubed. Then 8 and 3 gives us 24. 3 minus 1 is 2. And then pick up this coefficient. So we have a 5 there. Derivative of 1 will be 0. That's it. Now for this part, let's see. Yeah, so again, you may pause this video if you want to answer this first on your own. Okay, so let's see. Let's check your answers. For number 1, what is the derivative of square root of 23? Again, you need not worry about the radical here because nonetheless, square root of 23 is a constant. Okay? Though it's an irrational number, constant pa rin yan. So, ang kanyang magiging derivative will be 0. Okay? Now, for the number 2, this is a product. So, that means we need to apply the product rule. So product rule means if you're given with these factors u and b, where u and b are functions of x, what you do is copy the first factor and differentiate the second factor, okay, this one, and then you add it with the second factor times the derivative of the first factor. So product rule or derivative of a product is actually a sum of two products, no? So ang pinaka ginagawa nating trick is to get the derivative of the individual factors first. So we have a 15 here. We have an 8 here for the derivative. And then ang pairing natin is like this, no? So for the y prime, yan. So ang y prime natin for this part will be 15x plus 2. This is multiplied by the derivative of the other factor plus 8x minus 1 times the derivative of the other factor, which is 15. So there you are. You can just simplify this further by multiplying 15 and 8. So what you have there is 120x. Okay. And then plus 16. Then again here you have 120x minus 15. So final answer here, combining similar terms and the constant, this gives us 240x plus 1. Okay, so that's it for number 2. Now for number 3, we are reminded here of a function being raised to a power. Okay. By the way, let me write my answer here for number 2 over here. Kasi matatakpan siya when we flash the recall for the formula. If we are given with the function raised to a power, that means we need to apply what we call the chain rule. Okay. Let me erase the writings on the right. Let's erase this. Okay. Yan, para mas makita natin yung chain rule. So what we have for the chain rule is we can expect almost always 3 factors, no? So ang ginagawa natin, we multiply the coefficient by the exponent. That's for your first. And then yung ating base will be raised to n minus 1. That's for the second factor. And then the last factor in your chain rule will be the derivative of the base. Okay? Ayun, so we follow this one. So understood coefficient naman is 1. So 1 times 10 is like a matter of bringing down the exponent 10. And then we copy the base. Okay, doon na tayo sa second factor. We copy the base for x plus 5. Copy it exactly the way it appears. And then 10 minus 1 will be 9. And then for the last factor, we get the derivative of this base here, yung nasa parenthesis. And the derivative of that will just be 4. Okay. To further simplify this, we can just multiply the 10 and the 4. So this gives us 40 for x plus 5, yan, raised to the 9 power. Okay. Now for number 4, yan, let's see. So we have x squared minus 5 over 5x plus 7. That is a quotient. Okay. So pag quotient, diba ang naalala natin, the derivative of that is also a quotient. Kinukuha natin yung derivative nito, kinukuha natin yung derivative nun, pero ang pairing natin is this one. Again, yung nagpapakababa muna, siya yung inuuna natin. Yung nagpapakababa, siya ang uunahin natin. Siya yung humble. Okay? Be careful here kasi subtraction. This is subtraction and it's not commutative. Okay? Tapos ang pairing natin is like this one. Okay? So there you are. You have bu prime minus ub prime over b squared. Yun. So if we get the derivative of this one first, this is 2x. Derivative of this is 5. Okay. So if we get the derivative of this, sabi natin derivative will be a quotient. We need to square the denominator following the formula that we have over here. Yan. Tapos sabi natin, unahin itong nagpapakababa. It's like cross-multiplying. Yung nagpapakababa, siyang uunahin. So this product first. Okay, so we have a 2x times 5x plus 7. Yan. By the way, itong 2x tsaka 5x plus 7, they can interchange since multiplication is commutative, pero subtraction is not. So, similarly, for this product, you can write 5 first, so minus 5 times x squared minus 5. Okay, so if you simplify this, you'll get 10x squared. Numerator gives you 10x squared plus 14x. And then for this one, you have minus 5x squared plus 25 all over the same thing. We need not to square the denominator. We just leave it in the squared form. Okay? So simplifying the numerator further, 10 minus 5 is 5x squared. 14x. Okay, and then lastly, we have minus 25, yung constant term natin, all over the square of 5x plus 7. Ayun, so I hope you got this perfectly, this set of exercises. Our practice exercises, this one, this one, this one, and lastly, we have this one. Yeah, again, you may pause this video if you want to practice this first on your own before you turn on to the next slide. Okay. So now let's check your answers. For number 1, we are given with a quotient. Okay, but more importantly, it's important that we simplify our numerator para mas madali na siyang i-differentiate. So you notice this is now written as 12x squared, okay, plus 36x coming from the product of this. Okay, ayan. So we will be applying the quotient rule. Quotient rule, so we need to square the denominator. Again, denominator is this one. This is our v. Okay, so this is our u and this is our v. Okay, so if we get our v squared, ayun siya. Okay, now for the derivative of the numerator, we have 24x plus 36, whereas for the denominator, it's just 10. Okay, so yung vu prime natin, it's a matter of getting this product. Ayan, so we have the product of 10x minus 7 times 24x plus 36 minus, ayan, the product of this. So that would be 10 minus 10, quantity 12x squared plus 36x. Okay, so if you apply the distributive property, ayan, multiplying the factors, you have this one. And then simplifying further, you can combine this and this one. So, cancel lang si 360x. At tapos, ang matitira na lang sa atin will be 120x squared minus 168x minus 252 over the square of 10x minus 7. Okay? And that gives us our final answer for the derivative of number 1. Number 2. Let's have this one. Okay? Since generally our y is a quotient, we will be applying again our quotient rule. Okay? So, yung quotient rule natin again, that assumes the numerator is u and the denominator is a v. Okay? So, ayun, ang ating v squared. Madaling-madali lang yung v squared, kaya yun yung inuuna natin. So, for the vu prime, notice that in differentiating your numerator, you're given with the function being raised to a power. Sabi natin, pag function na naka-raise sa power, parang you can imagine this. Yan, parang chain. Okay? So, function na naka-raise sa power, parang ini-imagine natin na chain kasi mag-a-apply tayo ng chain rule. Okay? So, sabi ni chain rule, baba si exponent, copy the base raised to exponent minus 1, and then differentiate this, you have 10x plus 1. Ito yun. Okay? Now, for the derivative of our denominator, we'll have 15 times 4. That will be 60x cubed minus, for this part, you just pick up the 6. Okay, so now we're ready. We can now consider the product of the denominator times derivative of the numerator. Plug it in there. Medyo mahaba lang. Minus this product. Okay, so medyo mahaba lang din. Okay, of course, we're no longer expected to simplify this because of this large exponent. Okay, so yun lang. We can just leave this as our final answer. Okay, I hope you got it correctly. Number 3, we're given with this radical. So every time we're given with a radical, we can write this, or we should write it as something na may exponent. Kasi yung exponent, siya yung malaki ang role sa derivative. Okay? So, dapat obvious. Again, I'm repeating it. Dapat obvious yung magiging exponent natin. So, ayun. We place the product x plus 4 and the 7x squared minus 5x plus 9. We place this product inside the grouping symbol being raised to 1/2. Saan natin nakuha yung 1/2? Kasi square root. Ayun. Okay? Again, we want to make the exponent obvious. So, dahil meron tayong function being raised to a power, in this case, our power is not that simple. Hindi siya ganun good looking, hindi ganun kagwapo. Nonetheless, we need to apply the chain rule. Okay? Sabi ng chain rule natin, baba, si exponent. Ayun si 1/2. There you go. Ito yung ating first factor. Tapos, next factor will be this one. Copy the base. Copy this base here, the entire thing. Raised to 1/2 minus 1 is negative 1/2. Okay? And now for the third factor, we need to get the derivative of this base. Okay? Notice that this base is a product. So, we have to recall the product rule. Okay? Sabi ng product rule, prepare natin to. We copy this, multiply it by the derivative of this one. And then, copy this, multiply it by the derivative of this one. Okay? Yan. So, ang style natin, di ba, we differentiate each factor first, tas para tayo nagko-cross-multiply lang. Derivative of x plus 4 is 1. Derivative of this one is 14x minus 5 para ready na yung pag-differentiate natin, no? Pagkuha natin ng product. Okay? So, ang i-pair natin will be this. Okay? So, ayun siya. Ayun siya. Okay? Let me erase my writings. Since it's already in animation, nag-animate na siya. Okay. Ayan. So, ang magiging pairing natin, mabilis na lang. Okay. We have this pair first. This time, we need not be careful of the order kasi addition naman to. This is addition. Again, for the product rule, you come up with the sum of products, two products. Okay? So, nakakaisa na tayo. And then, the second product will be this. Okay? So, lagay po natin siya doon. Si 7x squared minus 5x plus 9. Okay? Notice that I already performed multiplication with the 14x minus 5 and the x plus 4. So, it's right here. Okay? Then, I can simplify this further by combining the 14 and the 7 and the 51 minus 5. Okay? So, 14 plus 7 is 21x squared, and then I have the 46x minus 11. And this gives us our final answer for number 3. Okay, now for 4, let's have the last one. Okay? Now, you're given with the function raised to a power. Okay, again, every time you have that, we are reminded of this figure, yan, naka-raise sa power, na parang chain. Yan, so, chain rule. So, sabi sa chain rule, baba si exponent, or multiply it by the coefficient. Since coefficient naman ito is 1, you can just bring down the exponent 5. Okay, now for our second factor, we just have to copy the base. In this case, it's a fraction. Raised to 5 minus 1, that would be 4. Okay? And the last factor will be the derivative of your base. Yung base natin is the whole thing, this fraction. Okay? Since you're given with the fraction or a quotient, we need to apply the quotient rule. So, pag sinabi natin quotient rule, kailangan natin yung fraction bar. So, square natin yung ating denominator. Ayan. Tapos, we need to get the respective derivatives of numerator and denominator. Tapos, ang pairing natin, again, unahin yung nagpapakababa. Yan, multiply it by 26x. The product will be 52x squared plus 286x. Okay? Minus 2 times that. Okay? Wala na tayong masyadong say dun sa 5. No? Dito tayo sa loob lang. 2 times 13x squared minus 8. That gives us minus 26x squared plus 16. Okay. So, you can simplify this further by combining 52 and negative 26. That gives you 26x squared plus 286x plus 16. We can further combine this or simplify this by having on our denominator, si 2x. We can make our denominator equal to 2x plus 11. This is being raised to the 4 because of this. Tapos meron kang 2 doon. 4 plus 2 is 6. We can actually make our denominator as this one. Okay, but nonetheless, we can leave our answer like this. So, there you go. Ating example. Yan. So, for this one, let's get the derivative. That's f prime of x daw. So, if we get the derivative, that means we have 6x squared plus 2x minus 0. Okay. Since the derivative of this, or since this function is a quadratic function, no? It's defined for all real numbers. That means the derivative of this function exists for all real numbers. So, it is differentiable. We say it is differentiable for all real numbers. Okay? So, kahit kunin natin yung f prime of negative 1, what do we mean by this? We are going to substitute to our x the value negative 1. So, what we have here is 6 times negative 1 squared plus 2 times negative 1. Okay? Take note that negative 1 squared is positive 1. So 6 times 1 is 6. This will be minus 2. Okay? So 6 minus 2 is 4, which means f prime of negative 1 equals 4. What about the value of x when f prime of x is 0? So f prime of x daw equals 0. We're looking for the x value satisfying this. Okay? So, we go back to this equation. Okay? And equate that to 0. So, we have 6x squared plus 2x equals 0. Okay? Notice that we can factor the 2x. So, we will be getting 3x plus 1. And this product is 0 for this one if x is 0. And here for x equals negative 1/3. Okay? So, ayun po. Actually, dapat plural, no? There are two values of x that give us f prime of x equal to 0. So, there you go. Our next example. Let's have this one. Again, this will be a differentiable function for all real numbers. Okay? So, f prime of x can be derived by getting the exponent of this and bring it down. So, 10 using the chain rule. No? So, 2x plus 9 raised to 9 times 2. We can further simplify this by multiplying 10 and 2. So, 20. Then 2x plus 9 raised to 9. Okay? So, mas padali nang mag-substitute. So, instead of x, you're now using negative 1. So, we expect a numerical value here for our answer. So, 20. Yan, ito yung ating f prime of x. So, we are substituting to this function. Okay? This is defined for all real numbers. So, when x is negative 1, that will be negative 2 plus 9 raised to 9. 9 minus 2 is 7, so that gives us 20 times 7 raised to the 9. Okay? So you can leave your answer this way kasi this will entail a very, very big number. Medyo may kalakihan po. For f prime of 1, we'll be using 1 instead of x, no? So ito naman yung isa-substitute natin, si 1. So that gives us 20. If x is 1, this is 2 plus 9, which is 11. Ayun, so 20 times 11 to the 9 will give us our final answer for this one. What about the value of x when f prime of x is 0? So ang f prime of x natin is this one. So what we have is 20 times 2x plus 9 raised to 9 equals 0. This is 0 when our base here becomes 0. So we just equate the 2x plus 9 to 0. And this gives us x equals negative 9 halves or negative 4.5. Okay, so there you go. Now for the next number, we are given with this fraction. So mag-chain rule tayo. But before that, notice that we can write this as 3x squared minus 5 times all over x to the 1/2. Actually, pwede rin times x to the negative 1/2. Okay? So derivative of this is 6x. Derivative of this is 1 over 2 square root of x. Okay? So, ayun, pag kinuha natin yung g prime of x, that will be a quotient. Square ng denominator is x. Tapos, multiply this. That will be 6x. This is square root of x, no? So, 6x is square root of x minus this product. Okay? So, that will be 3x squared minus 5 over 2 square root of x. Yeah, notice that you have a denominator here. Actually, ito pwede rin mapunta sa denominator if we make the similar fractions. Okay, we can further simplify this, di ba? Anyway, so this is not defined for x equals 0. That means this function is not differentiable for x equals 0. In fact, it's not defined for x equals 0. Okay? But for x equals negative 2, define naman siya. Pero take note, this is g. So we're going to substitute here on the original function. So this one will give us 3 times negative 2 squared minus 5 all over square root of 2. Now this is 4. This part is 4 times 3. That will be 12. So we have 12 minus 5 over square root of 2, which is 7 square root of 2 over 2. Ayan, i-rationalize na natin yung answer natin. Okay? Now, for g prime of 1, ito naman g prime. Okay, g prime, so that means we'll be referring to this function. This is where we're going to substitute. Okay? Substitute what? The 1. So, if x is equal to 1, g prime of 1 will be 6. That will be 3 minus 5. 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Tapos we have 2 times square root of 1 it's 2 all over 1. So negative 2 over 2 is negative 1. So 6 minus negative 1 will be 6 plus 1 and that is 7. So there you are. That will be for g prime of 1. Okay, so it is not knowledge but the act of learning, not possession but the act of getting there, which grants the greatest enjoyment. Yan. So, keep safe everyone and stay inspired. God bless everyone.